That was my phone. I'll mute it.
Well,
It's,
it says we are live.
hey-yo.
Says we're live. Hello, Gun Nation.
Hello, everybody.
That was my phone. Yep. There we go.
All right, well, we'll give everybody a moment or two to join. Thanks for those of you who were hanging out pre-chat for the pre-chat. We appreciate that very much. Good to see everybody, and people are starting to roll in. Well, happy Wednesday to everybody. So obviously, 1776 was not able to join us tonight, had some prior commitments.
He just got a lot better looking, actually.
Right, exactly. You wanted to find a better looking group of folks here, which isn't very hard to do. But anyway, so Big Johnson and I are joined tonight by Tundra Tactical. So we are very appreciative of that as always. So what's new with you, dude?
What's new with me? Well, as I was alluding to a little bit earlier, I have been spending the entire week, actually a little bit more than the entire week here. I think I started on Sunday, moving to a new studio. So that is the big news on the Tundra Tactical end. The big move is planned for tomorrow. So it's gonna get real wild in here, and we figured it would only be fitting that since the very first live stream done from Tundra Tactical was done by Three Guys Guns, the very last live stream in the basement here will be done by Three Guys Guns. So, ladies and gentlemen, say goodbye to mother-in-law's basement.
There you go.
That is what's new.
Well, we have enjoyed the backdrop there, so that will be missed.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
I am getting ready to get ready for the NRA show. I'm pretty excited about that. Harry is coming down, and so we're going to go to the NRA show Friday and Saturday. I'm assuming that, I've heard that Mike Pence and President Trump is going to speak, which is cool. But of course, with the Secret Service, you can't have guns, and I'm trying to decipher. I called the NRA and everything, and I can't get a straight answer. If he is going to be in a separate room where we can carry on the floor, or if there's no guns at all in the whole facility, which I don't know how that's going to work.
How do you manage that?
Yeah, I'm assuming if it's, because we can carry there, but I'm assuming they would bring him through a separate room and have that set up in a room, and you couldn't carry in that room. So I'm still trying to figure that out, but looking forward to it for sure.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. I would imagine with most of those, it's probably a no carry thing. I think with the SHOT Show, it's no carry.
Yeah. Well, NRA is, they do welcome carry. However, when, this is when even our regular laws, like we can carry in the K. Billy Hutchins Center and even the hotel next door. But anytime the Secret Service involved, you can't carry around, Secret Service. That's their law. So we'll see.
Right.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how that plays out, because if you're not allowed to have guns at the NRA convention, what?
Yeah. Well, it's a Secret Service thing. The NRA has no say in it either. It's totally the Secret Service deal. So I can understand that part of it, because, somebody could come in just saying they're an NRA person. You just never know.
So speaking of the NRA show, a few manufacturers have started announcing some new products, as of course they did for SHOT Show as well. But we've got some new things on the horizon here very soon.
Ooh.
And I don't know, have you guys heard of any of the new products that are coming out?
Sorry, go ahead, Big J.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I've been so far buried in this move that I have not had a chance to look at anything new coming out.
Yeah, M&P released their new 3.6 barrel, which, is kind of like their 9C. However, they've already got the compact out, but it's the 3.6 versus the 4-inch barrel. So I'm like, okay, really a big deal? Not really, but I guess if that's what someone wants, then I guess that's what they can have.
I have mixed feelings about it a little bit, because it's still a 15-round firearm. If it had been maybe a 12-round with an optional magazine or something like that, I think I probably would have been a little bit more interesting, kind of like the 9C. But I just don't know. I have thoroughly enjoyed the 2.0 compact. That's a fantastic firearm. In fact, I took a bunch of firearms to the range the other day, and that was one of the ones that I've taken, because I haven't shot it in a while. And man, I'll tell you what, that's a fantastic firearm, and especially with that Apex trigger, it just is so easy to shoot. It really is.
Yeah, and I mean, I love my old 9C, but I carry a 17 round mag in it, you know, with the X grip. But it shoots phenomenally, and it's the older one. Go ahead, Tim.
I might have somewhat of a strange take on this, but I think getting into that territory, going with having the 4.0 and the 3.6, it's almost getting into like over innovation AR level territory, especially if you're not shortening the grip at all, like you were saying, KS. I think it's pointless.
Well, yeah, and so now they would have a 3.6, a 4, a 4.5, and a 5, right?
Yeah, Harry's also saying, he's saying the M&P 3.6 will be a flop. 3.5-inch doesn't sell holsters. I don't know why a 3.6 would. I would have to agree with you, Mr. Harry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I also wanted to bring up something. I know that Rick is your six cover. Daniel has talked about this before also. And you know what, we're going to kind of get into CZ mags. This is the SP01 mag. Anytime it has the indentation in the bottom right here, that's the 18 round mag. This is your standard mag, and you can get regular extensions. But this SP01 mag, they're set up, the spring inside of them is super weak. And it's been really common that these can pop off. And they come with the SP01 and they suck. So there is an upgraded spring that you can buy and replace this. But as far as these, the SP01 mags, I don't even shoot them because of that reason. So anytime you see a little notch right here in the bottom, don't buy that mag. Now you can put a flat base plate in it, but this extended base plate sucks. The mag is just, the spring is way too weak for this. So just buy regular Metgar mags and they work great.
So is it in response to shooting with Uncle Dan's question?
Yes. Well, if you look at Daniel, as God is my judge, he did a review on it saying that the 18 round mags will get you killed. And these base plates for a long time have been known for popping off. When you slam it in like this, that base plate will pop right off. But they're undersprung. The spring is really weak in this one. And this is the only one that does it. So if you send it back to CZ, just tell them you want a whole different mag, like you want one of these types. These will never have a problem, but these completely suck. And if you look, I don't know how well you can see, but there's a little lock on the back of this one that actually keeps it from coming off. There is no lock on this one. See how smooth it is? And it will come off. So it's only on the SP01 mags, the 18 round mags. So just don't buy those and you'll never have a problem.
So getting back to the NRA stuff, the Armsman had talked about the Beretta APX Compact being released now, and he was saying, wondering if they would be introducing a modular system like the P320 and have kits available. So I just found out about that tonight. And actually, I'll be honest with you, that's the one that I'm kind of excited about because I like the Apex a lot, and or the APX rather. And I was reading that that it is modular, so it does have the same trigger system that that the full size does, which I would take to mean that they are going to have different frame kits and all that kind of stuff with it. But I think that's actually a good looking gun, and I think they did it right because it's a 10 or I think it's a 10 and a 13 round magazines that come with it or something like that. So I think that's kind of cool.
I'm going to ask you to do me a bit of a favor here. As we all know, I like my hammer fired handguns. I'm not a big striker fire guy. Not saying that they're bad or anything. It's just preference for me. What's the deal with all these new striker fired guns, like the APX specifically? What does it do better, or what's its party piece according to Beretta or to yourself or whatever? What makes it a desirable choice?
Oh, that's a great question, and I think that's something that people have been talking about for years and years. I know we've been talking about it on the chat over and over and over again, and it comes down to a couple of things. From a high level standpoint, the more choices you have, the more likely you are to find a firearm that really fits you and that you shoot well. It sits well for you in the hand ergonomically because we all have different size hands. We react to guns a little bit differently. Somebody might shoot a Glock really well versus an M&P really well, or whatever the case may be. So you've got some choices there. And then as far as the APX goes, one thing that I find really cool, it's the same with the P320, they're modular. So there's at least the idea that you can remove that serialized trigger module. You can place it into another trigger module or another grip frame rather, and you can kind of customize it a little bit, and that can be advantageous. But then also being able to remove that trigger module makes it very easy to clean and maintain. So you have an extra level of flexibility there. I mean, I'm getting into cans. And so one thing that I've been thinking about as I start kind of redoing the collection a little bit around the can is which guns are going to be easier to maintain, because God, they get dirty. And so having that modular system might be a real advantage.
Yeah, that's something we've learned a lot this year too, about how dirty guns get with cans on them. It's our first big year of shooting suppressed, and it's the truth.
Yeah. I mean, I think that they're just trying to go after different sizes for different folks, with the compacts and subcompacts and things like that, which is cool. I think some of the subcompacts, for me, I would just rather have a compact personally. If we get into too small, then there's just not enough grip for me to hang on to. Like the SK, the VP9 SK, and probably the new APX, subcompact, and even the Glock 26, they're just not for me. But that doesn't mean that they're bad guns. They're just not for my hand size.
Sure. And I think that's, KS's ultimate point was having more options gives people more flexibility, and they're not, barreled into or, kind of pigeonholed into like one or two choices.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe it leads to something really gnarly down the road.
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, and I was just going to say, and I carry my revolver in single action, made a good point. He's saying that certain people only stick to certain brands. Like right now, he's concentrating on Glocks and CZs. And I think we kind of do that too. We discover a brand, or we get into a brand, and we kind of explore that quite a bit. I've been doing it with SIGs the first part of the year, and that's starting to drift and kind of change a little bit because we get interested. And so we want to explore all the different offerings as best we can, or what the budget allows, or what our interests lie in. And so being able to, and going back to the whole Smith & Wesson and the various sizes, you might find one that just fits you a little bit better. And so Smith might be smart maybe in doing this. I don't really know. The 15 round thing is the part that kind of gets me a little bit. But again, having some of those choices, I don't do as well with a Glock 17 as I do with a 19. It just fits my hand a little bit better. So.
Yeah. And if and also going back to that same principle as far as the APX or the P320, let's take it back to the P320. You can buy different frames for it. So you can have one handgun that's registered in your name, because some states you can only have a couple of handguns.
Yep.
So that way, with the caliber conversions on the SIG P320, you could have a 357, you could have a 40 caliber. Now when you get into 45, you have to, on the SIG, you have to have a whole different frame. However, that way some person could have one gun, but they could have 5 different frames or 3 different frames that fit. So, I could see using that if you couldn't just access guns easily or have multiple guns wherever you live.
Sure.
So
could it be kind of like the AR-15 of handguns?
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
That's actually kind of that might swing me a little bit, because historically speaking, I've not been the biggest Beretta fanboy, even though I did just say I love my hammer-fired guns. The 92 FS has never really been one of them. But hey, might give me another good reason to look back at Beretta.
Yeah, and we can start answering some questions. But like Uncle Dan is asking, how am I liking the long slide Glocks? Y'all all know that I'm not a huge Glock guy, but I'll tell you what, I'm really liking these things.
That's week number 2 in a row that thing's shown up on the stream, man.
Yeah, well, it's really crazy, but this is a long slide. This is 6.2 barrel, but I mean, there's my hand, so. It swallows it, but it really fits my hand well. And I'm not doing a Paul reference, fits my hand well. But I'm really kind of liking it with the slide radius on this, with the sights. I really don't have to bend my wrist like I do on a normal Glock.
I got a good question. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No problem.
I got a good question for the two of you guys, and feel free to redirect the question back at me afterwards. But since we're diving so deep into handguns, this might be a tricky one. But if you had to pick like the number one thing you look for in a handgun, what would it be? And we'll just say like a multi-purpose gun, not a specific carry, not a competition gun. Just generally speaking, what's the first thing? Is it like the grip angle, trigger, hammer, striker, what have you? KS, go.
For me, it's always been ergonomics. I want to make sure that the guns that I have fit my hand well. because if they fit my hand well, if they're comfortable, if I like the way the grip is and it points naturally, because all that has to do with ergonomics, then I think everything else can fall in line a lot easier. So you can work with whatever sights are on it. You can work with the trigger on it to a point. But for me, it's ergonomics, because that's where it starts. If your hand can't connect well with the firearm, if it doesn't sit well, like this Glock 19 right here, if it doesn't sit well in the hand, it doesn't work well. If this hump right here bothers you, or the grip texture, or the angle, or whatever it is, it's not going to be the right gun for you. Probably
Sure.
You might want to look at some other things. So it's all about ergonomics.
Yeah.
Sure. What you got?
And I would say ergonomics also, because if you have good ergonomics, it's usually going to set up well for your sights. So I would say ergonomics too. Now, does it have to be the most ergonomic gun in the world? No, but ergonomics is a big plus for me.
Right on. I guess I would have to say my answer to that question is the main thing that I look for in a handgun is if it's a 1911 or not. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I think maybe kind of contrary to my previous statement, a lot of the chat has been blown up about it, but I'm going to go ahead and agree with a lot of the guys out there. And reliability is probably the #1 factor. Now, granted, that can be a little bit subjective when referring to a new gun, maybe something that you don't have a lot of experience with. But I think that we're all smart consumers, and we do our fair bit of research prior to picking up a firearm here. Or some of us just drive halfway across the state to pick one up. Who knows? I think that's where I would go. Probably reliability #1, and then ergonomics #2. Because the way it fits in your hand, man, nothing can beat that. No innuendo, by the way. Chat, leave that alone.
And I think also, as far as like we were talking about, and you mentioned with handguns, as far as reliability, I think and maybe y'all might be different, or we might all be the same, but I think you're pretty much going to be geared toward a reliable name brand handgun, period. Like, I'm not going to run out and just say, oh, I want the Jimenez, because it's just awesome. I mean, I'm not going that route. So I think nowadays with most modern firearms, especially well-branded names, you're going to get the reliability that you're going to expect. But you're right. If it's out of the box and it's a brand totally new, different gun, we don't know shit about it unless it's the brand.
I Carry My Revolver brings up a good point. He says reliability, ergonomics, and looks. And now nobody can deny they're going to buy a gun because it looks cool, because I certainly have.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that kind of goes along with ergonomics and how it fits in our hands and stuff like that, because a lot of that, I mean, if we closed our eyes and people were just handing us guns, we're going to be like, oh, that's a Glock, or, I mean, I can kind of distinguish. I think most of us probably could, even blindfolded.
That's actually a pretty good video idea.
Yeah. I mean, I think we really could if somebody just, handed the muzzle like this, and these guns are unloaded. But if they handed the muzzle and you just stuck your hand on the grip, I think you could kind of pretty much guess what each gun is. Pretty damn close to it anyway. Maybe not the brand as far as like 1911s, but I think I could guess a Glock and a PPQ and a VP9. I mean, I think I could pretty much hang with that.
That's a bold statement. I'm gonna have to I might have to challenge you on that sometime.
Yeah. Well, Harry's is coming down, so I guess he could hand me some guns and I could be blindfolded and we could see if it would work.
That'd be a great on the road cell phone video from
while I'm driving, blindfolded while I'm driving.
or at the NRA.
Yeah, I could be hold my beer and watch this.
Music's got a great idea for another video. Get drunk and shoot. So that's always an option.
Yeah, I was gonna say it. It might not be the best idea.
Music, that's a little outside of my comfort zone. I love my drinking, I love my shooting, but not at the same time.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I don't want to make the wrong kind of video either.
Yeah. Well, we got reputations to uphold, and mine has already been severely tarnished, as most people in the chat know, by a couple of weeks ago. So that was my own doing, though. What's new? What do we got new sitting around the house in terms of guns, guys?
Go ahead, Kios.
Okay, well, a smattering of things. Actually, I brought a couple of things out just because they've been kind of fun to play with. Like I was saying a little while ago, I got a can. So I've been kind of repurposing the collection. So the P10 you guys saw over the weekend, perhaps if you watched the video, because I'm a huge fan of the P10. I think it's a fantastic firearm. I really do. This is one of those ones where ergonomics for me, this sits really well in the hand. It fits really nicely. So I got the suppressor ready version of that. But to complement it, I got into the P07, also suppressor ready. So they're kind of an identical set there. And it's been fun actually shooting these side by side because they are extraordinarily different. The trigger is so different on the P07 than the P10. So that's been a lot of fun. And then the FNX, that'll be coming up before too long as well. This is an old dog. I mean, this thing has been around a long time, 2011, 2012, whatever it is. So it's certainly been around, but I think it's still a relevant firearm, especially when you pair it with a can. I mean, it really does well. And I'm looking for some other things, and I just haven't decided yet.
Yeah.
What kind of can, if you can mention on the stream, unless you're trying to keep that one a secret?
Not at all. It's an Omega 45K, and I did that on purpose. I wanted to be able to use basically any pistol caliber out there. I mean, it'll do 380, it'll do 45, 40, 357 SIG, 9mm, all the popular rounds in pistol, but it'll also do 300 blackout. And I will have a 300 blackout by the end of the year. So that is something that I'm looking into. I've got one specific option that I'm looking into. We talked about that earlier. I may come out of the closet with that a little bit later on in the chat, but anyway, so there's some good flexibility there, and I'm kind of excited about that.
My vote is you stay in the closet.
Well, we'll see. And real quickly, Harry, why the P07 over the P09? It's the same thing with most guns for me. The compact grip seems to fit a little bit better in my hand. It seems to work better. And that's the same, again, with Glock 19 versus 17, Smith & Wesson full-size versus compact, P09 versus P07. It sits a little bit more naturally. It's a little bit more comfortable for me. And I like the more compact slide. I just prefer it.
Yeah. And, as far as the P09 and the P07, I mean, I love both the guns, but for me, the P09, just because of my hand size, but they're both exactly the same gun, just like a 19 version versus a 17. But what I've been shooting lately, if you can see by the videos, I'm really enjoying the P10C, carrying a lot, put the large backstrap on it. One thing, and I brought this up in our last chat, is this large backstrap, and I let CZ know about it. It's kind of loose at the top. It kind of wiggles. So I called them, they sent me a new pin and a new large backstrap. So I'm going to put this on and see if there's any difference or if it still has the play in it. But P10, I did the P07 versus the P10, and I'm a big fan of the P07. Now, granted, that day I wasn't shooting very well, and it was my fault. I had a side grip instead of a center grip, so I was pulling a little bit to the left. And I know that it was completely my fault, but P07 out of the box was very freaking accurate. I was really surprised how accurate it was, but really enjoying the pistol.
Outstanding.
Yeah, I'm telling you, those P10s, man, they are good guns. They really are, and it's nice to see that they're a little bit more plentiful. I was actually at Center Fire tonight picking up something for my Glock 19, and they had a black suppressor ready. They had the regular black and then the regular FDE, and all of those had night sights. I mean, so they're out there. They're a little bit more plentiful now, and that's fantastic.
Yeah, I saw some today too. The black suppressor ready and the urban gray, and they were like $525, which isn't really that bad.
It's really
the suppressor sights and the threaded barrel at all.
So Joker 3421 has a question about when is CZ coming out with a single stack striker fired gun, and that's a great question. What do you guys think?
Probably never.
And see, I think they will. I've even thought, and we talked about this way back when, like to have even a single stack, double action, single action, like a P07, but single stack would be cool for some people. And then, we're going to be at the NRA show on Friday. So Harry and I definitely are going to the CZ booth. And, I'm just going to quiz them about all different kinds of stuff. I mean, I'm going to beat them up as much as I can about what they have coming out. But I think a striker fire, would, a lot of people are kind of either Shield or 43, but I think it would do pretty well to have a striker fire and a double action, single action, and a single stack.
I definitely think that it would do well, and I'm going to revise my previous statement of probably never, but it seems like CZ is, as popular as they are, they seem to be, and this possibly is by design, almost like a year or 2 or 3 behind the, the early adopter curve.
Mhm.
When people are coming out with the Shields or the XDSs and all these the what's the subcompact, Walter, the PPQ or the PPS?
PPS.
Yeah. So it might be on the way. I don't know if it's going to come out anytime soon. But I definitely agree with Big J saying, obviously, due to their popularity, if it comes out, it could probably be a hot steaming pile of garbage and it'll still do well. But I don't think that will be the case.
Yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully not.
They had some old ones, the 32 ACP, CZ made one of those. They've got some old single stacks. But,
CZ52.
yeah, exactly. But I think, and who knows, some people might just be over single stack, or they might have just given that to the 43 and Shield and said, we're not even going to play in that ball game. So who knows?
True.
Hey, real quickly, the Armsmen said the P365 still waiting, canceled my pre-order, which is ridiculous, and I totally agree. I understand that 6 Sauer stopped production on their 1911 line to pick up the slack for the P365 because last I heard, and this was a week or two ago, so I'm sure the numbers are different by now, but they were over 10,000 units behind. So trying to catch up. It's one of those deals where some manufacturers are a little bit better about getting their new firearms out there, and I have to give credit to manufacturers like Smith & Wesson. They seem to do a pretty good job of getting as many out as possible. I mean, I don't remember the 2.0 compact and the Shield 2.0 and some of those firearms being quite as much of a struggle to get a hold of as Sig Sauer, and Sig is notorious for that.
Is the Glock X still having trouble getting into people, or the 19X still having still impossible to find, or is that starting to become more available?
No, it's more available.
Okay. It's stalled. I see them sort of all over the place, and people are saying that they're selling, but they're not selling very well.
The reason I brought that up was just as a general question, because I'm not super tuned into the industry side of things, or like the manufacturing side of things, I guess, is it seems, at least with this particular case and the 19X, that also was impossible to find for the time, for a little while. Was this becoming more of like a trend, or is it almost kind of like I'm a big video game guy, so like video games coming out in less than optimal states because they just want to get them out there and they don't have the production to back them up? Is that a trend, or is that just something that maybe I'm perceiving?
I would say it's not a trend. I would say that there are certain manufacturers that perhaps, and this is speculation, this is not, I'm starting a rumor basically because I don't know this for fact. But I have noticed that certain manufacturers tend to get firearms out perhaps a little bit sooner than they should versus other firearms that seem to be a little bit more tried and true, a little bit more reliable right from the gate.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, I've kind of played around with some firearms that I'm definitely interested in. And I know that Harry's bringing some down that I'm going to shoot. And I'm pretty kind of excited to try to shoot it, is the SIG P365. I'm going to actually get to shoot it. I'll have to, fold my thumbs or duct tape them together. But I'm kind of excited about shooting that little bitty gun just to see how it does shoot for me.
Right on.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you're the rumor mill. They're saying that you're the rumor mill.
I am the rumor mill, no doubt about that, Sean. So I carry my revolver in single action. I got enough pistols to cover every basis I need right now, so no more pistols for a while. Famous last words. We've all said that. I got revolvers and an AK-47. I'm kind of in limbo. AR-15 is next, just waiting on Illinois, which, yeah, that sucks, dude. But I think, we've talked about that several times over the last few months, that all of us are kind of feeling a little bit in limbo right now, partly because there haven't been as many interesting firearms that have come out this year, 2018. And also just after a while, you sort of kind of sit back and go, I've done that, even if you haven't picked up that specific gun. I mean, Tundra, you were saying a little while ago, striker fires, what's so interesting and special, because there's so many of them out there, what sets them apart? I mean, there are things that definitely set them apart. We talked about a lot of that stuff, but if you look at it again at a high level, they're all kind of the same. And after a while, you can only do so many, and it becomes a little bit boring.
Yeah, I would definitely say that that's kind of the overarching statement of at least the beginning of the year, or the first half of the year of 2018 so far.
Yeah, but I'm still looking for pistols because I only have one. So we can't have enough pistols.
That is true, unless I carry my revolver in single action, because apparently he has plenty.
Yeah. But and after a while, you just get kind of bored. You want to try different things. I mean, Bald is on right now, and he just picked up that beautiful 1911 or 2011
Infinity. Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, talk about a different and rare and interesting firearm, something very different. And I understand why he did it. I mean, not only from a competition standpoint, but also it's interesting. It's different. It's something very fun and can kind of re-enthuse you into things a little bit.
Speaking of re-enthusing, what I'm looking it up right now, but what was that pistol that not just came out, but like around the time of SHOT Show, the FK or whatever, that's like $7,800.
Oh yeah, FK 7.5 or whatever.
Yeah, the Bruno.
There's a new one.
Bruno, that thing's awesome. Yeah, we do have a question, and it's a little off topic, but I think it's a good question because we've talked about it a little bit before. But Rabbi Jesus is talking about like what are great shotguns, possibly even for 3-gun. I mean, I know my take, but I'll go ahead. As far as shotguns, what would you recommend for 3-gun or a great shotgun?
So for me, I've never competed in 3-gun. I have 2 members on my team that have, and I had the luxury this year of shooting one of their shotguns. Bryce has a good gracious, what is it? It's a 930 JM Pro, I think.
Yeah,
and my goodness gracious, is that thing just butter?
Yeah.
KS, you laughing? What you laughing about, man?
Oh, I was laughing at Kevin Roberts' comment, and I was responding to him actually.
Oh, right. I thought you were laughing at me.
No. But as far as shotguns go, it really depends. I mean, there's such a wide spectrum. In fact, I was out for the first time. There's a store here, and I don't know if it's all over the place, but it's called Shields. They might be all over the place, but there it's kind of like Bass Pro or Cabela's. It's the same idea. And their handgun selections, whatever. But their shotgun selection is unbelievable. If you're into hunting and that sort of thing, they've got 4, 5, 6, 7,000 shotguns, and then down to kind of your basic shotguns. And so I look at the spectrum. I mean, a couple of the guys were talking about Benelli M2s. I'm a huge Benelli fan. When I used to compete in shotguns, I used to use a Super Shot Benelli, and I absolutely love that gun. It's a semi-automatic, and I think it's 28-inch barrel. I mean, it's just a beautiful firearm, does really well. And I have a couple of other Benellis, and I'm a big fan of the M2. But as far as basic shotguns go, I've got an old pump-action Remington 870. I mean, as bare bones, basic as you can get. It was probably $300 back in 1992 or whatever. That's a fantastic shotgun. I mean, I can beat the snot out of it, not really care if it gets dinged or scratched up or anything. And that thing runs no matter what I do. And it's just a great shotgun. And hearing that pump, I still love that sound every time.
Yeah. That JM 930 that I was talking about, or that 930 JM Pro, I got a message from Bryce earlier today with a link saying that somewhere on the internet it's being sold for $564.99. Now, when I click on it, the link takes me to a website called deguns.net, and the actual sale price is $629.99. But that still sounds like a pretty damn good price for that nice of a shotgun.
Yeah, I bought, I'm a big Mossberg fan, the 930 also. As y'all might know from my videos, I bought 2 930s, and then with the ported, they're 28-inch barrels, and then I put the tubes on the +9 tubes, and they're great shotguns. Benelli, you cannot go wrong with a Benelli, but you're going to spend the money for it. So depending on if you want to jump in deep, and Stoger makes a nice shotgun too, but my 930s run very well. I changed the follower and I changed the tube and did all that other stuff. But they'll hold 14, and I can ghost round 15, the 15th round in it.
Jesus.
That's a good thing about a 930. You can ghost round them. So right up under the follower, you can pop another one in there.
What's your what's that sweet quad load look like for those big hands? Can you do 4?
Actually, I can quad load pretty easy with these.
Oh, here he goes.
Oh, he's going to do it live, ladies and gentlemen. And for Logan out there, he's asking me if I've ever heard of the 950 JTJ. Yes, I have. Things a wild round.
Yeah, and these are from MC Digital Armory, but it's pretty crazy. But this is a quad load right there, and then there's my hand.
Hoo-hoo-hoo.
So yeah, I don't have any issue grabbing these now. Grabbing them and getting them the gun under speed. Yeah, I've dropped a bunch of them practicing, but I have no issues grabbing them, but make sure they get down in the gun. Sometimes that's where they get a little out of control there.
I would not want to compete against you with that big paw in 3-gun, especially on the shotgun stage.
Yeah, you could probably get a 12-year-old out there to kick my ass. That didn't mean much.
So Jeff England was talking about anyone have any thoughts on that Remington with the detachable magazine? Now I didn't know Remington was doing one, but I saw a video the other day on Mossberg. I think it was a 500 or 590, whatever it was.
Yeah,
it's got a detachable magazine, and I think that's pretty sweet.
The only thing, the way that I look at it, and I think it is a great option, to where you can just slam it in there and go to work, but on a shotgun, I would rather have everything in the tube so it's not hanging down. I mean, if you really need to do work, I don't want something hanging down that's either going to get caught on you, or depending on if you have to get down in the prone or whatever you're going to have to do. I don't want a freaking tripod hanging from the bottom of my shotgun personally.
Yeah, I think just as a general civilian use weapon.
Yeah. I think it's a cool option. To have it, but I would rather have everything in the tube so it's really slimlined, personally.
Same.
But Kevin Roberts always gives me shit about my hands and says that I have the football foam fingers, that's what he always says. He says, there's those damn foam fingers again.
That's a good one, Kevin.
Yeah. So every time I see his comments, because he's always like, hey, there's foam fingers, because in videos I'll move my hands and he's like, look, foam fingers.
Right.
Alden Curious is saying, if you want a shotgun with a detachable mag, get a Saiga, and he's not wrong.
Yeah, no, he's not. Vepers are freaking badass. And I've got that new Sega 7.62 by 39, and I haven't converted it yet because I'm still trying to figure out. I want to take it and shoot it in the just in the sporter version because I kind of like the old SKSs. But I'm kind of interested in shooting it. I know the trigger's not that great, but man, there's nothing like having a 7.62 by 39 just regular rifle if need be. And I know once I convert it in the setup it is now with the sporter, man, the sights look really nice. And if I get farther up on there, I don't know how that's going to change or not, but we'll see.
Right on.
Yes, and I saw 3 Arsenal 7.62 by 39s that were converted, and man, they were freaking awesome today. And I was just like, damn, they've gone way the hell up. But they look nice.
Let's see. I'm looking to see if we missed any questions.
Yeah, and we do have a question from Matt. Does anybody know what happened to Nolan's channel? I hadn't seen any videos, and I haven't either. Matter of fact, I probably need to shoot him a text and see how he's doing.
Well, I think he's doing all right. I mean, I think he's been just working on other things. It's one of those deals, and we've talked about this off camera many times. And some of the people out in the chat also have great channels and probably can kind of relate to this a little bit. These are side jobs for us, for most of us, not all of us, of course. I mean, Tundra, this is much more a focus for you, but for a lot of us, it's a side job, and it's a hobby, and a hobby that's perhaps a little bit expanded from some other hobbies. And so sometimes, real life gets in the way. It just does, and we can't always devote the amount of time that we want to. Or there are times where we just want to take a break. I mean, this year I've slowed things down a little bit because last year was a lot of fun, but it was very busy. I mean, cranking out a video or 2 a week, it's a pretty big time suck, and trying to keep up with the comments. I mean, I spend probably 3 hours, maybe 4 hours a week responding just to comments alone, and so that's a lot of time. In fact, I've gotten to a place where I don't watch as many videos as I want to. So I'm not keeping up with what other people are doing on their channels, which I feel terrible about. But we all kind of get to that place a little bit. And I think, Nolan might be in one of those places, not saying he is, but it's just entirely possible.
Yeah. And then, gosh, Frank's saying, I don't know who he's saying this about it, if this is Nolan, but it says his girl is very sick and may die.
Well, let's keep the rumors down.
Yeah. I'm just like, wow.
That's it. Let's keep the personal things personal.
Yeah. So, but yeah, as far as NRA show, I mean, I'm very excited to go. I've never been, so I think it's cool. It's right here in my backyard. So
yeah, it's pretty convenient.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's going to be cool to go and just check everything out and you know, kind of get an eyeball. And I believe X Ring's going to be there, so I get to meet him. So pretty excited about that. Getting to see everybody.
What's on the Big J watch list?
Well, of course, I'm going to stalk CZ, and see if they've got some new stuff coming out. Try to get a little insight there. I mean, even checking out. I mean, we're going to check out everybody that's anybody, because I just want to see if there's any new stuff that, and they're not going to. I would think that they're going to release it or at least show it at the NRA show. Even something they're saying, hey, this is a prototype, but it's coming 6 months from now. I'm just kind of excited about seeing some of that stuff and maybe what they're working on.
Gonna grill them on that single stack CZ?
Well, I mean, that's probably not anything that detrimental for me to have, but it's always good to see if somebody's got something coming out, because like I said, and we've all talked about, it's a little stale in the pistol. But I know we're going to check out rifles and see if there's any, optics. I mean, we're going to be looking at everything that we can.
Right on.
So going along with that, Johnny Danger was asking, do you guys think the HKP 30 series has become a loss to memory? And I'd be curious to know what you see at the NRA show. But what do you guys think about that question?
I might agree with that. I personally don't know of anyone who's owned one or bought one in forever. I think the VP9 pretty much took over, and everyone just started buying those instead. But God, I don't even remember that gun hardly.
Yeah, I know that Harry has one. And I really like I like the hammer or the double action, single action HK. But is it a must? No. I mean, but I think it's still pretty relevant.
I think so too. I mean, I think they're certainly top quality made firearms, especially for polymer firearms. Now, one of the big criticisms of the P30 series up until this last year or moving into this year was the price. The P30, the regular size V1. First, those were extremely hard to find, the LEM version, and they were usually around $1,000 or so, and that's a hell of a price to pay. In fact, I got into a little bit of a debate in the comments this evening before the chat with a guy talking about price of polymer firearms, and he made some good points. I mean, he and I approach it a little bit differently, but when you start talking about $1,000 for a polymer firearm, a lot of people struggle with paying that much. I mean, they really do, even if it's good quality and it's from a reputable brand like HK.
Yeah,
that can be tough. But I agree with you, Big J. I mean, I both of you. I mean, I think they're still relevant firearms, and they're obviously still selling them, or else they probably would have stopped making them.
Sure, it's interesting that you're talking about price point being $1,000 on them originally, because Knuckles is telling us that P30s are awesome and are now going for around 500.
Yeah, they HK finally got smart and changed up their pricing. And that's why the regular P30 came down. But one that I would really probably like to own would be the long slide version, like the John Wick setup. I mean, I just think that's still a really cool gun, and I love the long slide look of it. The regular reminds me so much of the VP9, but I still think it would be cool to have one and shoot it. And yeah. I've actually never shot one. I haven't.
Well, I featured the P30 on the channel last year, and I like it again. I mean, from an ergonomic standpoint, the HKs, whether it's the VP9 or the P30 series, and the PPQ from Walther, I mean, the ergonomics are just awesome. They feel incredible in the hand, and the triggers are fantastic in single action. The biggest criticism I have of the P series of HK, the reset is about 6 miles out towards the trigger guard, and so really. And you can train for that. It's no big deal. But if you're switching a lot of firearms like I do, I sometimes get trapped with that a little bit, and so the shooting can be pretty sour simply because I'm just used to a more responsive reset from striker fired firearms. I've gotten spoiled And so that becomes, kind of a deal. If they had a shorter reset, I probably would still have a P30.
Now, question for you: have y'all personally shot the HK45? The full size.
Yep, my dad has one, and
Okay.
I think he bought it like the day it came out, because he had a USP for a while, and well, he still does, but bought that like the day it came out, and I was originally like, it was amazing to me because I think at the time I had some janky old XD45, like the original one, and I finally got to shoot something nice, or relatively nice. So I loved it at the time. As time has gone on, however, I have stopped loving it because of that same issue, that stupid long
Yeah.
reset, and it was the first like big frame single action double action that I'd really had to shoot. So it wasn't really my cup of tea, and I learned a couple of things shooting it.
Yeah. KS, have you shot the big 45?
I have not, no.
Well, and I have, and where I was going with this is, I've shot the HK45, and it's got that long reset far out there, and then compared to, and of course the capacity on it, but then you get the FNX 45, and I prefer the FNX 45, and along with the capacity too, personally. I just think FNX hit a home run with the FNX 45, and I know, yeah, if you want to show and tell there, brother.
Well, I was kind of curious because I haven't really played around with it very much, but that's pretty short reset. That's not too bad. It does still have a little bit of take up, so you do have to goose it back up to the wall again, and that's the same with most hammer fires. I mean, the P07, there's a huge amount of travel back to that wall again. And in fact, I was watching Tactical Toolbox because he just picked up a P07 and a P10. I like him a lot. He's a cool dude.
Yeah.
And he was remarking on the same thing. I mean, it's all about training. It's all about trigger control and everything. But that long reset. And in fact, I think Mac has said that a couple of times. It takes some time to get used to. And I hate to interrupt, but somebody made a comment on here, and I thought this would be interesting. And I don't know if it's just APETE, or APET. I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but he said he bought a blue P01 Omega. Harry, pay attention to this. You want one of these a while back, and it came with the curved trigger. Let's see. Bought the P01 Omega a while back, and it came in with the curved trigger from the regular P01. Had to send it back to CZ, and they replaced the trigger with the flat one. Ever heard of that before?
No, I have not. That's weird. Yeah, that's very strange. I've not, because I was going to say, I've got the P01, and it's got every P01 I've ever seen to standard has the curved trigger, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it's just because I've got bigger hands.
Well, the internals are different.
Yeah, exactly. But I've never seen one with a curved trigger. I didn't even know you could put it on an Omega, personally. But
interesting.
Guess they found a way to do it.
Right.
Yeah, the P01 Omega has a different decocker also, than the standard P01, so it's a little different. But yeah, okay, there we go. Pistol Pete fixed it up. He said that CZ makes guns while they're drunk sometimes. So, hey, everybody, maybe they start drinking early on a Friday. Who knows?
I wouldn't be surprised.
But yeah, I'm like I said, I'm excited to go, and hell, I guess maybe I'll get to shake Hickok's hands. I know his hands are going to be definitely bigger than mine, but that's the guy that I wish was my grandpa. I'm sure everybody wishes that.
Oh yeah,
I'd love to have his backyard too. That would be awesome.
I'll take Jerry Mitchellek as my grandpa.
Well, yeah, that would be a cool grandpa too, for sure.
Nothing against Hickok, but that woohoo just gets me every time.
Yeah. Well, see, one could be your grandfather on one side, like your dad's dad, and then the other one could be your mom's dad. You just have it good on both sides. But what's new and exciting that y'all have coming up? Since we're getting a little close, we've got about 10 minutes.
KS, why don't you level it off?
New and exciting coming up. Well, I've been kind of revamping the collection for the sake of the can. That's the suppressor. That's been kind of the new focus for me. So Again, I mean, you guys saw a sneak peek at the P10 suppressor. Some people were asking for a video on it. I don't think it would be a full-blown video. I've kind of been there, done that, and that might get a little bit old. But I'll definitely do some more work with it. And I love that P10, the P07 suppressor ready as well, and of course the FN, FNX. I want to do more with the Scorpion. I felt a little bit slighted on the Scorpion, especially with YouTube's new policies. And I want to try and figure out some ways to get that back on camera because it's such a fun freaking gun, man.
Sure.
I knew you'd like it.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, you throw a can on that, that is a lot of fun. It's dirty as hell, but man, it is a lot of fun. So I got to figure out some ways to do that stuff.
Yeah, and I still have to put the HB CZ trigger in mine. I got the trigger in, and I already put the charging handle on, and it's awesome. So I'm pretty excited about getting that done. I just got to find time where I can tear everything down and put it all together.
Right on. Yeah, for us in the video land, the big one that's coming out soon, or relatively soon, still in production, or still in post-production, is going to be our first look at the, oh gosh, what's the name of it? It's the CMMG MKG DBR or DRB2 45 ACP carbine.
Wow.
And if I actually got that right, that'll be a miracle. But CZ sent us one of them for a test run, and we loved it. It's this kind of like, I don't know if it's like a hybrid bolt design, but it looks like an AR-15 bolt, but it's actually, and it's in, you know, an AR-15 platform, but it's actually a roller bolt, like an MP5 style, I think, bolt, where it's like a delayed rollback or roller bolt.
Right.
And it's a ridiculously smooth gun to shoot. Very nice, light on the recoil. You know, it thumps you like any 45 carbine does, but it's very pleasant. And apparently, I didn't say CMMG. I guess according to the mil-spec.
I knew what you were saying, but
what did I say?
I thought it was CMMG, but hell, I don't know.
I guess. So he's saying it's delayed blowback. The mil-spec guy, for those who don't know, is the guy who organizes all these guns to be sent to Tundra. So thanks to him. But apparently I said CZ. But CMMG, let me clarify. And so that's one in the works. We're moving into the new studio tomorrow, or moving the computer and the setup into the new studio tomorrow. So all of the videos from this point forward will be shot in there. And then later on down the road, the big one coming for us is going to be a barrel showdown on the different manufacturers of the 224 Valkyrie.
Nice.
So we're big fans of that round over on the channel. We have a very close friend of ours, Airborne Arms, who's doing pretty well in that market with their Hell Yeah rifle and their Hyperion and Pathfinder barrels. And we wanted to stack them up against some of the other guys out there and see how, you know, some small little shop in Minnesota compares to some of the other ones like CMMG or Stag Arms or, JP, stuff like that.
Cool. Yeah, see, Armsman has it right. KS and Big J are having you call everything a CZ.
Right. You know, and it's funny, I was kind of getting away from CZ a little bit at the beginning of the year, and all of a sudden I've done a total 180 because they've got so many threaded barrels, they've got so many options, and they just make good guns.
Yeah, they do. Yep, they do.
I'll own one eventually.
I highly recommend it.
I do want one. It's just we keep doing things on the camera side where I got to spend money there.
Yeah, I hear you. Can't go wrong with them, that's for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I guess everybody's getting on Crazy Scotsman's butt, saying he's going to be the crazy Glocksman.
There's
always one.
Yeah.
So does anybody out there have any last minute questions, or are there any questions that we missed or anything like that? Because we do have a couple more minutes left.
Anything we've missed, anything y'all want to see at SHOT Show. I mean, I'm going to try to see as much as we can, and it's probably not going to be where I'm just filming every single booth, but we'll definitely try to get as many as we can.
Dennis Jones, is a Glock 19X worth $600? And of course, this is very subjective, but what do you guys think?
No.
Okay.
Out of the other smaller Glocks, I say smaller, it's got the G17 grip. The thing actually, the 19X feels pretty good in my hands. It's pretty surprising, but I'm not saying I'll ever get one, but I am going to be shooting Harry's. He's bringing it down, so I'm excited about shooting it also. And we'll definitely report, what my findings are on it, because every 19 that I've just put in my hand, and I've owned 19s before, but every one I put in my hand just feels so small, and I have to really break my wrist to set the sights up. And on that one, I really don't have to that much. So it's a little it's set up a little different.
Harry's asking KS, you and I, what do you guys want Big J to check out at NRA? And for me, that is something we talked about a little earlier, but I would love it if he had the time to go over to the TGC panel with all the cool guys that they got hanging out there. I heard it was a blast last year. A couple of my guys attended it and they had a good time. And unfortunately, I will not be able to make it down to NRA again this year, and I'm really bummed because I would have loved to see that. So to get some firsthand experience or some firsthand reporting back on that would be super cool.
Yeah, I mean, that is at a different area. That's at Eddie's,
right.
but but still, I mean, hopefully we'll get to see them even sitting around at tables where we can just say hi and just meet them and stuff like that. I'd like to meet Mac also. Tim. I think he's a pretty cool guy, and just from what we know of him on the air, I don't know him personally, but it'd be interesting to see some of those people.
Apparently he shouldn't be that hard to spot there, because I've seen some of the T-shirts that he's had made up, and
yeah, I was going to say it could be interesting, just to see kind of what goes on. I have already. I'll go ahead and report this. There are going to be 2 groups that are protesting at the NRA. So they've already announced it. I guess they're told the police they will be protesting. Now, you never know what the show up is going to be, but one is against guns, and then the other one is against the NRA. So it's just going to be interesting to see. You could show up there and there could be 5 people. Right. So, you never know. But
hey, I got a good one to end the show with. With all of the anti-gunning stuff happening, and I don't want to turn this political or anything, but just a quick little survey from the 2 of you guys. Have you guys had any pro Second Amendment rallies at your capitals in the States lately?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, awesome. What's the turnout been like out there?
The turnout was okay in Topeka. Not extraordinary, but okay.
Do you have a number? Like ballpark? Okay.
Number, but I mean over 100.
Okay.
Yeah. And there was one in.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Big J. Sorry.
I was going to say there was one in Austin, and I wasn't able to attend, but there was one in Austin. But you had the good guys, and then you also had some of the bad guys there too. Or bad people, anti-gunners. But I wasn't there, so I saw a little bit of video, and I would say it might have been 100 or more. But I don't know. Like I said, I saw it secondhand, so.
That's cool. I want to give a gigantic shout out to any of the 61 people that are from Minnesota in this chat, because we just had one last weekend and we had 2,800 show up.
That's
and
awesome.
It was amazing, outstanding work, guys. We were there as well as a bunch of other people. It didn't get the media coverage it deserved, but there was definitely something there. There was, NRA presence. The Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus was the one who was putting it on, and it was a phenomenal showing.
Yeah, nice. That's awesome.
So very good job to all you Minnesotans out there.
There you go. Well, guys, let's wrap this up as we've got a couple more minutes. Who'd like to go first?
Go ahead. We'll let our guest go.
What do I do? What do I do?
You say, hey, thank you, and that kind of stuff.
I have stage fright. I can't do it. No, I'm just kidding. Guys, thanks for tuning in tonight. Stay tuned to Tundra Tactical for the new studio move coming up tomorrow in future videos. Thank you guys for having me on this fine evening. And to wherever 1776 or bust is out there, yeah, keep doing what you're doing, man. I'm sure you're whatever.
Yeah, he's in the chat right now.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, and I definitely want to say, always great to have the subscribers on here. Always great to see you guys. And if you haven't checked out the other channels on the chat, please do go over and subscribe to them. Check them out. There's a lot of great channels on here. But we appreciate the support so much. The Three Guys Gun Chat. We've been doing this for a while now and enjoy it, and definitely great part of the community.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I echo what everybody said here. Thank you guys all very much. We have so much fun with you guys and learn things every single time. So without you, none of this is possible. So we definitely owe you and thank you. So everybody, thanks for joining us, and we will definitely see you next week.
Later,
Thanks,
guys.
everyone. Carry on.